Hello everybody and welcome back to more political chatter. In this video we will be talking about the special election in New York's 3rd Congressional District. See, the election date, which I'm looking for but I can't seem to find, is coming up soon. I think it's maybe February 8th, but it is extremely soon. Early February, and this is an interesting race because it is a special election. Of course, every congressional district in the United States will hold their November 2024 election for each district. But this is a special election being held in February in just a few days. Why? Because there was a congressman by the name of George Santos / Anthony DeValder who was removed from the House of Representatives. He was expelled from the U.S. House back last year, maybe during November, I think, because of his criminal record, because he is a con artist, a con man basically, and he lied about literally everything. So he was expelled from the United States Congress, and that means there had to be a special election held before the November 2024 elections. Because if not, then they would have to wait until January of 2025 to have a congressperson with it, which is unreasonable, and having a special election soon, would be a better solution. So this special election is being held between Democrat Tom Suozzi, who is a former U.S. representative. I know someone in the comments is going to say, no, you pronounce it Susie. I always thought it was Tom Suozzi until like a week ago when Tom Suozzi himself was on CNN and said his name. I was shocked. Anyway, so he is a former U.S. rep who retired in 2022 to run for governor. So he was this district's representative for quite a while. We'll go back to past elections. And then in 2022, he decided to not run again, and instead he tried to primary the Democratic governor, Kathy Hochul, in that Democratic primary for New York governor. So that means, he retired from his seat. He didn't run in 2022. And that is when George Santos won his seat. And now he is back after his loss in the primary, after Tom Suozzi's loss in the primary, and after George Santos's expulsion from the U.S. House. This is a perfect opportunity for Tom Suozzi to get his congressional seat back, which he blew. He is once again running for this seat. So he's back. This is another Tom Suozzi run in the 3rd Congressional District. He has been a candidate here quite a few times, and somehow the opportunity opened back up before November 2024. And then when it comes to the Republicans, we have a lesser known uh, Republican nominee. Her name is, I don't even know, Maisie Pillup? I don't know. Um, but she is the Republican nominee after a hard fought. But this says she is a registered Democrat, which is weird. But she is the Republican nominee, and I don't know. I mean, getting into this race here, um, it is more hotly contested as most people were expecting from the beginning. I mean, many people, including myself, were expecting a Thomas Suozzi landslide. I mean, when you consider the fact that this was George Santos's seat, um, he was expelled, obviously. I mean, obviously, everyone hates him there. So there's a lot of anti-Republican sentiment, right, heading into 2024, following this expulsion of George Santos. Additionally, Tom Suozzi was a congressman here in this district for quite a while, and this Republican opponent is not all that well known. But, as this article highlights, the Democrats are putting money into this race. They are putting $1.25 million in these last days ahead of the special election in hopes that it assures their victory. But looking at the two polls held between, there has been one poll from Emerson College, between Suozzi and Philip, and he was only up by 3, which is interesting. Now I believe Wikipedia also listed a poll, and yeah, this is from Emerson College. But there was one from a Republican pollster that also had Tom Suozzi up by 3. So, I mean, this was during November of 2023, so things could change here. But, I mean, I mean, this was sponsored by a primary opponent of Mazi Pilip also. But still, regardless, it is a Republican pollster, and both of these polls have Suozzi up by 3. Emerson College is a very reputable, reputable pollster. So, heading into election day, we have not seen many surprises come out of this race. I guess, except for the fact that Tom Suozzi is only up by 3 in that Emerson College poll, if you consider that a surprise. But besides that, we aren't seeing many surprises from this race. This has been a mostly quiet, um, a pretty positive. I mean, surprisingly, not even very much a negative campaign. I mean, somewhat. I mean, there was a photo of Philip and George Santos together in a picture going around social media, but it hasn't been too much of a nasty campaign. And this would be a good pickup for Democrats. Don't get me wrong. I mean, heading into 2024, this would almost guarantee that they hold on to New York's 3rd congressional district, which is very much a toss-up district. Heading into 2024, if they have Suozzi back in as the incumbent, he would cruise to re-election as he has done, and we're going to look at that in a second. But also, there are quite a few important bills coming up. I mean, just today, the bill to on the impeachment of Homeland Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas uh, failed by 2 votes. I mean, these are such close votes. By total chance, the House and Senate just happen to be so close when it comes to party margins. And a gain for the Democrats, just in February, randomly, a random gain for Democrats in February of this year would not should not be overlooked. That could come to very much importance, and I probably wouldn't make this video right now if it weren't for this so razor thin Republican margin in the U.S. House. They're currently up by what 3 House members, and this would reduce it to 2, something crazy. So this further, if Suozzi does win, it further increases the stakes in the House, and really the tension among House Republicans and the importance of House Republicans getting their act together. So even though it is just one lone representative of 435, it could really make a difference if an important bill comes up. I mean, they are discussing, obviously, an immigration bill. Hopefully they're revising it and getting it back onto a vote. Aid to Israel, aid to Ukraine. I mean, aid to Taiwan. There's 3 major situations happening in those 3 countries. Gaza. So Tom Suozzi actually could be a very deciding factor. And then if the Republican wins here, she could very well, be the deciding factor. On the other hand, it at least gives Republicans a little slack, a little bit more slack when it comes to votes, having another Republican in. But when it comes to predicting how this race will go, again, one poll or 2 polls released both had Suozzi up by 3. But I do not think that those are accurate. I honestly think that Tom Suozzi wins by more than 3 come election day. When is November? Okay, February 13th. So it's in 7 days, not the 8th. Sorry about that. It is in 7 days. So we're still coming down to the wire. But looking at fundraising, I mean, this is part of why I think that Tom Suozzi will, cruise to re-election. Usually the candidate with more money wins, right? But looking at cash raised, Tom Suozzi almost quadruples that of the Republican. He has raised 4.5 million. Phillip has raised 1.3 million. The Republican has spent $714,000. I mean, this is critical here. And Tom Suozzi more than triples the amount that she has spent with $2.3 million. And still, the Republican has $628,000 left of cash on hand, and Tom Suozzi still has an astounding $2.2 million. So, I mean, Tom Suozzi is racing to spend all this cash. He has more than triple right now that of the Republican. He has spent more than triple of that of the Republican. So, things are looking good for him in fundraising. And then it comes to name recognition, but not more than name recognition, but familiarity among voters. It's one thing to have name recognition, but familiarity is extremely critical. George Santos won his seat in 2022, right? Well, just the previous election. Tom Suozzi beat George Santos. Yes, not many people know this, but George Santos did run for Congress in 2020 against Tom Suozzi. Tom Suozzi won by 13 points. When you go to 2022, Tom Suozzi is now off the ballot. He's running for governor, and you look at that, he won by the Democrats with Tom Suozzi won by 13 in 2020. And then the Republicans, George Santos here, wins by 7. That is a 20-point shift to the right. Not just, but a huge factor of that, undeniably, this doesn't have to be said, is because Tom Suozzi was not a candidate. Of course, Tom Suozzi was the incumbent here. In 2022. People know who he is. He is the incumbent Democrat representing New York's 3rd. Obviously, this was more of a Democratic year than 2022, but regardless, Tom Suozzi is the incumbent here, and it didn't shift 20 points to the right just because 2022 was a bit more Republican. You go back to 2018, he wins by 18%. Go back to 2016, he wins by 5%, and I think that was his first run. Let's see, let's go back to 2014 here. Yeah, and then we have Steve Israel, whoever that is, back in 2014. But you can see, in 2016, he wins by 5, wins by 18, wins by 13, and then George Santos wins by 7. So it tells you something about Tom Suozzi's electability, whether it be that he's moderate, whether it be that he does run a uniting, more positive campaign, whether it be that he's pretty likable, from what I have heard. Tom Suozzi is electable, and he does win. So looking at 2024, you've got Tom Suozzi back, a hated, infamous representative who was expelled from representing this district in Congress, therefore creating lots of anti-Republican, anti-Santos sentiment. You've got Tom Suozzi back, who has won, 4 House races in New York's 3rd, 3 of which were by double digits, huge double digits. And then you've got a Republican opponent who is unknown or little known, no money, and Tom Suozzi has a lot of money, and one who has been a registered Democrat since 2013. She has been outspent, and I don't think that, obviously she doesn't have as much name recognition as Tom Suozzi. So I don't think that this is a 3-point race. I really don't. I think that in polls, it will tend to be more along partisan lines. I think that in polls, people will do tend to vote for their party, while on actual election day, then they make the final decision and they vote for who they actually think is best to represent them. So I think that Tom Suozzi does win this and does do better than 3%. Maybe I'm thinking like an 7 or maybe even an 8-point win for Tom Suozzi. I think that he wins by a pretty good amount, though, on, what was it, February 13th. That's what it was. So thank you all for watching this video. Let me know your predictions in the comments. I hope you all enjoyed, and I'll see you all next time.